Hi, Abby here. I want to thank you for joining me today. I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to be journeying into the heart of Pope Francis, and I'm curious to see what the energetic balance looks like there. As you know, there's a lot of perspective that the reptilian race is using religion, the Catholic Church, the Pope, Vatican City, etc., as a way to control the human race. I'm not saying that that is true or not true, but I am curious to see what is in the heart of the Pope, if the Pope is a reptilian, if the Pope is a human being like all of us, if the Pope has a deceitful heart or the Pope has a loving heart. I want to know what is beneath the surface of the Pope, beneath the surface of the concept of the Catholic religion or Christianity, Vatican City, the Bible, Jesus, all of this kind of intertwined together. I think the Pope is a symbol for more than just the Catholic religion. It feels like the Pope is more of a symbol for Christianity itself, the Bible, Jesus, all of that. It all kind of roots together, doesn't it? All right, in saying this, I'm going to go ahead and get into the journey state, and we'll see what comes, okay? Okay, I'm going to go into the heart of Pope Francis now, and we'll see what I find there, okay? Okay, so I run into what is kind of like, it's really dried out, and it kind of reminds me of a beehive. And it's kind of old and dried out. There's different, a beehive, when you open it up, there's lots of little honeycombs, like thousands of them. This is more like, kind of like the hornet's nest. Is that the type of bees that create kind of the thing that hangs from your roof? If you crack that open, you'll see the same thing. And I'm looking at this right now. I'm running into it, and I'm sort of feeling all the rough edges, and it's broken. I mean, it's broken on so many different sides, and it's dried out. It's black. It makes me so sad. It's dried out. It's just completely dried out. There's so much grief in this image. So much grief. The language and the words will never define the grief that is energetically stored in this image here. This is a long forgotten hive. And this hive was special. At one time it was thriving. It was healing. It was creating homes for many. And now it has been discarded. Almost like a human being that has been discarded and now left on the street to rot and die. This too is emanating that meaning to me. I say, Pope Francis, what does this mean to you? This is in your heart. Pope Francis asked me to come up to where he is sitting, and this is not as though he is higher and more mighty than I am. He's actually, believe it or not, he's actually quite, has an open heart, a welcoming heart. He's really glad I came to visit him today. He actually will take the time to listen. It's not always clear. The reason why I'm saying that is because the image itself is very undefined. It doesn't have all of the crisp details. The reason why is because it's not meant to. So it's not always clear, okay? And that's what he's sharing with me right now. And I say, Pope Francis, what do you mean by this? It's not always clear. Why can't you find clarity, and why can't you share that clarity? Everything is quite distorted. And I'm being taken to yet another reflection, okay? And I feel like I'm kind of going through the catacombs of the hive. And so I don't know where I'm going next. My spirit guides asked me if I would know why it would look like a hive. Say I don't have an answer to that right now, but there's lots of different compartments in a hive, and every compartment stores its own unique information, you could say. Even if it seems to be the same information, every compartment is unique. Okay, so I'm just gonna try my best to explain. There's a wall up, and what could be on the other side of this wall looks like a really strange tree. And the tree is dark, and it's grown in a very ugly way. The tree looks sick, is what it looks like. So is it ugly or is it sick? And it has distorted branches that go in different ways. The tree also symbolizes something else. I can't exactly see what that something else is. Could you say that it is a reptilian being that is sitting in front of the tree that also merges with the tree? So I can't exactly tell for sure because it's camouflaged with the bark of the tree. It camouflages. But there's definitely somebody sitting in front of this tree. But it's camouflaged into the tree, and it does not, I don't experience it as, I don't experience it as human. Let's just say that. So there's a wall up for sure, and it's not easy for me to get into this wall at all. And this is one of the pods of the honeycomb, okay? And it becomes more and more difficult to see. So even this image is pulling away from me. It doesn't want to be seen. So this is what is telling me that there's a lot that does not want to be seen. All right, there's a lot that wants to remain hidden. I'm going to go back to Pope Francis, and I'm going to say, what do you know about this image with the tree and the creature that fades in and out of the tree? The creature is not evil, just so you know. The creature is not evil. It just sort of is, okay? And I'm just handing him this image. I want to see what he has to say about it. He shows me that where he sits, there is sort of a garment that is very, very long, and the garment covers up all of this. And he says the garment is covering up many, many roots that have gone black, and the honeycomb that has been dried out for a very long time. And I ask him, when will you get off of this seat? When will you take off the robe? When will you show the world what has happened? Pope says it's not easy. It's not always easy to just take this off. It isn't that easy. It's not as easy as it sounds. I ask him if he could show me something else today. I tell him that I want this to be an honest perspective, an honest look. And I want to avoid any types of judgment. I just want an observation here, okay? So he says, he's talking to me about judgment. He's talking to me about judgment and how important it is that we explore this word, judgment, and how we use judgment in each and every day. How we are judging the Pope. How are we judging Vatican City? How are we judging this whole phenomenon? But how are we judging ourselves? How are we judging each other? How are people out there judging me? How are people judging the whole phenomenon of life in their own unique ways? And who are we to judge? But what would this world be without judgment? We have to decide if something is to our liking or not. But there's always speculation. And speculation can be judgmental too without really knowing all the answers, all the bigger picture details. And he shows me that if the human race only knew one of these honeycombs out of thousands of them, and that was the only piece of information the human race was ever given, how would the human race be able to judge the bigger picture if that's all they truly knew about it? they can't judge. They'll speculate, they will judge, but they will never truly know the bigger picture. And I tell him, I say, well, Pope Francis, why don't you help us access more of the bigger picture? So that way we can just have understanding already. I mean, I remember being a kid and you go to the Pope and you tell or not the Pope, but the priest, right? And then you tell the priest your sins. And then the priest does a little ceremony and then your sins are forgiven. What about the sins of the church? What about the sins of the church? The church is above telling those sins to the people? The church is above that? He starts to cry, and there's a hollowed out part of himself, and he's sort of drying out and breaking off of the chair, and he turns to ash. And I see that this toxic tree had grown a root that went straight into him. And as he turns to ash, this root goes back into the tree. So I'm going to go to the tree then and talk to the tree. So my spirit guides say the tree is the spirit of the creation of this whole thing. The tree is the spirit of this whole consciousness, this whole creation. And I ask my spirit guides, is the tree wise? When I ask that question, that barrier between me and the tree opens, and I'm allowed to enter what is a room of red light. And there is somebody here before the tree. And I touch the tree with my hand. And I tell the tree, I have no judgment against you. I'm not here to judge anything. I'm just here to learn. I'm here to gain wisdom. That's what I do. I'm on a wisdom quest, right? The tree, believe it or not, is hollow. It looks like it's thriving. It's growing with sort of a toxic blackness. But if I touch it, it is hollow on the inside. This being that stands before the tree is always kind of camouflaging itself into the walls and into everything. And I ask the being, I say, if you want to hide from me, that's okay. I can see that you're here. What is your relationship with the tree? Are you the spirit of the tree? This being opens up a doorway in the floor that is now rotten, and I'm falling through the floor. And I'm going down a very long ways. And even the tree is not to the depths of something that goes even deeper than the tree, which is a consciousness of this whole thing. But there's yet something deeper, even still. Pope Francis is basically just a face, is just a mannequin in the window. But there is something that has roots that go very, very, very deep. So shall we judge Pope Francis, or shall we take a look at the bigger picture, remember? So I'm going to go deeper here. Wow. How do I even begin to explain this? I'm supposed to identify this place as hell, okay? And then I'm supposed to identify the Catholic Church as heaven, heaven on earth. You walk into the Catholic Church to experience heaven on earth, a place of worship, a place of connection with Jesus, etc. And then down here is hell. But both is connected. They're both connected. Hell and heaven on earth through the Catholic Church, it's all connected. Pope Francis is all connected. The tree, this strange being, it's all connected. It's a honeycomb with lots of different compartments, all within one bracket, all right, within one containment. So I'm just looking at this concept of hell that is here. And it's the fires are starting to dim. They're not burning as hot. and they're almost about to burn out, like a cake that had too many candles was ablaze at one time, and now many of the candles have been blown out. And I would attribute this message to the global community that the earth is becoming, and a lot of people are moving into more open-minded spiritual communities where the Catholic religion, or just Christianity in general, people are moving on from those types of thinking, heaven and hell. We want more of an open-minded look at spirituality. And this is actually quite positive, because the fires of hell are dimming, because the fewer people that believe in hell, now hell has no power or manifestation here. It's dying. Hell itself is dying. And the honeycomb is drying up, right? It once was a thriving place. I'm not saying, though, that when it was a thriving place that it was necessarily a bad thing, because some of these compartments were actually quite beautiful. Some very beautiful things have come through from this. But some things have been misconstrued, and some things have gotten very toxic along the way, and a lot of things have gone hidden. And so the sins of the church are not being communicated. And when that happens, there becomes a karmic imbalance, right? Because the sins of the church have got to be expressed, otherwise it will always remain as a lie, not fully truthful, not fully honest, not truly expressing itself. But on top of all this, I want to ask you a question. What human being on the planet is so open, like an open door to share, spill the beans to the world of truly what is going on deep down inside themselves? A truly honest person in every way, shape, and form. And if we cannot be honest people, how could we expect the church to be honest? How could we expect the governments to be honest? How could we expect anybody to be honest? The human race needs to change, and we need to start exploring this concept, okay, of honesty. Because if you're not an honest person, then how could the church be honest? I mean, we're looking at a human race that doesn't know how to be honest. So those humans are everywhere. We're working on trying to find our true selves. So even when we're superficial people, we're not being honest with how deep we truly are, with how profound we truly are. I mean, how honest can we truly become? It could take a lifetime to discover ourselves. And we could be many different people that we never really truly were. They were just faces. It's important that I'm saying this. This is also within Pope Francis's spiritual atmosphere. Pope Francis experiences this awareness. And a part of Pope Francis is dried out as well. And I'm not saying Pope Francis is a bad person. I'm not saying that at all. In fact, there's something beautiful about him. Okay? There really is something warm about him. There's nothing demonic about him. I will say there's nothing demonic about him. But what he is connected with is not necessarily demonic either. A lot of people are going to disagree with that. But I'm telling you, I mean, everybody in the human race has made a bad choice. Has hurt somebody's feelings, whether you intended to or not. Is that a demonic thing? What truly is demonic? You know, it's choices. Honesty, dishonesty. I don't want to tell you the truth. I'm going to hide the truth because I feel that hiding the truth is better for you, because I don't want to freak you out, you know? So we're always exploring this concept, you know? Is it evil? Or is it us trying to comprehend ourselves? Find so much of what's out there on YouTube is trying to create a concept that is blown way out of proportion. Way out of proportion. I want to get back to grounded reality here. And I want to see what is inside these people so we can actually find out who is actually demonic and reptilian in this world. And the Pope Francis is not. Okay? Pope Francis is not. All right, so let's go down here. Okay, now there's a lot of, this is a bit disturbing, okay? So there's a lot of what could be described as lost souls down here, and the fires are subsiding, okay? So the lost souls are kind of half in the mud and half trying to climb out of the mud, but they're disoriented, and they don't know where they belong, and they're buried beneath this church, beneath this concept of Catholic, of that, the Vatican City, of this whole thing, okay? I'm going to go to one of these and I want to ask who they are or what this means to them. They tell me there's nothing I could do to help them. And I say, well, why not? They say that they won't be set free because their place here, it's interconnected with the heart or the spirit of this movement. Okay, so when the heart and the spirit of this movement is out of balance, there's something that they cannot be set free until this whole thing is completed itself. I say, are you in hell? It's a man that I'm talking to, and he stops moving for a minute. It's like he finally heard me. And he starts to look at his hands, and all the mud dries off of him. And he says, no, I'm not in hell. And I start to notice that the many people down here are kind of waking up, and they're looking at themselves, and they're realizing that there is no hell and that they are not in hell. And they're starting to disconnect from any ideas of religion at all. And there's men and women and children in here, and there's lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of souls in here, okay? And they're all starting to find relief, find awareness. And any relationship with being tied to the heart of anything is just completely clearing from the vibrational imprisonment of whatever this is about, of the concept of hell, okay, that had swallowed them, and now they're soul fragments exploring this. Some of them are ready to move on. Then there's like a crypt keeper. And he is very dark, and he's kind of hypnotic, and he hypnotizes those ones that are ready to move on, and they instantly kind of go into a sleep state, and they fall back into the mud, and they keep saying, we will never be set free, we will never be set free. I ask this crypt keeper, I say, what is your purpose? What do you know about Pope Francis? What do you know about Vatican City? What do you know about Jesus? What do you know about the Bible? What do you know about all this stuff? He's not very energetically powerful, but he's not working with love. He's just kind of just a black shadow. I'm going to touch his heart because he too is imprisoned in his own dark. He isn't meant. He's done being this. He doesn't realize it yet, but he needs to be set free too. So I'm just going to go ahead and touch his heart, and I'm going to give him a hug, and I say, "There's no judgment, and what you have chosen as your pathway. I want you to know that there are no ties to you, to this. And it's time now for you to acknowledge that, to move on, and to know it's time to set these souls free." He is struggling because he too is hypnotized by some other force, okay? You see how fascinating this is? We're looking at a honeycomb. How many thousands and thousands and thousands of doorways are going to be in this journey here? And they're all connected to Pope Francis. But I'm telling you, Pope Francis is just a tiny little speck. A tiny little speck in a giant hive. And he's just basically a mannequin in the window. And his role is, it's very small in comparison to the bigger picture. I tell this man, you have no connection to whatever is deeper than this. I tell him, you're done. I'm cutting the cord. I start to see that it is a root from this tree. And I pull the root from him out from this tree. So he's starting to wake up and breathe. And he's starting to look at his hands. He's saying, what happened to me? what was I doing? And I say, it's okay. I want you to take a look at all the souls down here. I want you to take a look at this place. The fires of hell have dimmed. It's time for everybody to leave. There's no more hell, okay? So it's time for everybody to go now. He's disoriented and confused. He doesn't even understand what the word hell means. He doesn't even know what had happened. It's like he got bonked on the head and just kind of blacked out for like several thousand years. And now he's waking up and I'm talking to him and he's just so confused right now. All right, I need to go to this. I need to do something else here. Because this tree is definitely a part of this energetic vibration that is keeping things in place, okay? It's holding it all together. And what is this tree exactly, with the roots and the branches that connect it to everything related to the hive, related to this, okay? And Pope Francis has got a very long garb, okay, that covers the hive itself. So it's always blocked and shielded by himself. So he then is the face of purity, when what is beneath his garment. I'm going to plant seeds here. I'm going to plant seeds of love. I'm going to plant a garden here in this hell space. And I'm going to plant a seed in this sort of red room with the wise tree that's toxic, right? But wisdom can also come from darkness too. Don't fool yourselves. So I'm going to plant a seed of love, okay? So the wisdom can reconcile or self-realize in a different way. And I'm going to put a seed of love into Pope Francis's heart. So the next thing that comes to me is, when you go to church, you're encouraged to pray for others, as though the church has got it all figured out. So you never pray for the church. We pray for other human beings. But everybody in the church is already pure, doesn't need prayed for. But when I plant these seeds of love, it's like for the first time, somebody is praying for the church. Somebody is praying to help Pope Francis. Somebody is praying to help this tree. Somebody is praying for all the souls that are trapped. Somebody is praying for this whole thing. Somebody is praying for love to help this whole thing. Because in the end, it's about sinning, right? That's the whole concept. It's about forgiveness of sins. That's what Jesus is, right? Because human beings are sinners, so then Jesus saves us from our sins, so then we can go talk to God. We can get to heaven. We can't get to heaven without Jesus, right? Because we aren't even good enough to talk to God. That's just the whole thing. That's what it's all about. And then if you don't welcome Jesus into your heart, you're going to go to hell. Well, you already are in hell. I mean, I can't fathom a place that would be worse than earth, There's a lot of hell going on in a lot of different places in a lot of different ways, It hurts differently wherever you go. It hurts differently, but it is difficult here. And because it is difficult, it feels like hell, So we just continue to endure the same thing, no matter whether you're in the church or you're not in the church. But what can we do? What can we do? What can we do now? What can we do now that we are starting to see things differently? That we are starting to inspire the hellfires to dim, that we are moving to more open-minded spiritual communities. Do we need to continue to persecute this Catholic Church, Vatican City? Do we need to persecute it, or do we need to simply love it? And not loving it isn't encouraging it to continue to be the same. Loving it is encouraging it to open up to us, to share what it is afraid to share within itself, to heal the tree, all right, that has gotten sick along the way. So I'm not sure what you're going to think about this, and I'm curious to see what Joe experiences in his journey. And I'll put a link to Joe's journey in the description. I'll pin it to the comments so you guys can find it. So this journey was pretty laid back. It wasn't in your face, wasn't loud, but I think it gives us some interesting perspectives that aren't judgmental, that are of a third-party observer, and that are of a Christ consciousness pursuit, right? The world will not heal with judgment. The world will not heal with war. The world will not heal with destruction. The world will only heal with forgiveness, with patience, with honesty, even if the honesty is difficult. And if we want more honesty from places like the church or places like the government, then we need to work on becoming more honest people ourselves. We can't expect from somebody else what we cannot give ourselves. So that's what I have for you today. I'd be curious to see what your thoughts are about this. I want to thank you all for watching, and if any of you are interested in exploring a psychic session with me, please visit me at my website at abbeynormalswisdomquest.com. I'm also on Patreon, and you can find me there at Abbey Normal's Wisdom Quest. I hope you all have a great day.